So Tranmere have played 3 games so far this season. A preliminary round cup game against Rochdale started the competitive season off before a home win against Shrewsbury, 2-0 the score. Half of last season's 4-0 win against them. And then on the weekend, a 1-1 draw against Port Vale, which left fans sort of feeling like it was a bit more than a draw because we had the defender in for the final 40 minutes. Darrell Clarke's built a side of very ambitious players for Tranmere with the way that they talk about their aspirations for the time of the club. Even though Tom Ince is about 34, I think he is. He's always one to say that I didn't just come here to sort of see my career out. I want the club to progress, being living in the area. And Jordan Davis as well, 28, and he's always wanted to push the club on. Will Vaulks was the one that I was meant to say, sorry, not Jordan Davis, even though Jordan Davis done really well. Will Vaulks he come through the youth ranks at Tranmere before. He's gone on to have a very successful career, to be fair to him, playing in the Championship for many years at a higher level, and he smashed it, and he smashed it so far for Tranmere. So fans are rightly feeling quite optimistic. But there are 9 days left of the summer transfer window, and there's a bit of work for Darrell Clarke to do, really, because he's got to bring in about probably around 5 players, really, because Harrison Mail went off injured, as I said before. The defender Bobby Faulkner went in goal for 40 minutes on Saturday at Port Vale. He's been phenomenal so far. 2 league games, 2 man of the matches for his defensive contribution, because he's a defender. In his first game, he assisted the goal as well with a great header in that game against Shrewsbury. And on the weekend against Port Vale, he was in goal, and he was getting his head on things. He's not afraid. His granddad, I think, he posted on a comment on the Twitter to say, he's half Geordie, and that's the sort of stuff that he'll do. He'll get stuck in, man. He's doing that exactly, to be fair. He's doing exactly that. So yeah, going back to the transfer window plans, as I said before, 5 players, because with Harrison Mail's injury, let me get on to it. Darrell Clarke said that it was a bit of a back problem, and he said that we'll sort of assess how that goes in the week. So we might not need 2 more if we can get him back in time, but we definitely need another one, because although Bobby did a great job in goal, he didn't get put in the team of the week for his display. So maybe he's not a goalkeeper. No, but we just can't be in that position again. So yeah, we need a backup goalkeeper, and if Harrison Mail's injury is going to be a bit of time, then maybe be looking at 2 loans there, really. Malcolm Morosi was at Tranmere last season, and he's now at Port Vale, and he's someone that I'd love to bring back, really. So I was just typing all that in there. He's not really in their plans there, really. He signed for Port Vale in the summer of 2025, last summer. He's not played much, to be honest. Less than 10 games, it says here. But for Tranmere, he was, although there wasn't many positives from last season, but the loanees that we brought into the club were positives, and he's one of them. Made some good saves, and he gave us all. So yeah, I'd get Malcolm Morosi back in. I don't know why we haven't brought in Brian Jensen's son yet, to be honest, because I feel like, although the thing will be, like his quality, maybe. I mean, that's sort of why you bring in players, isn't it? But, he'd give it his all, I think, Jensen Jr. And if you got him in for about, I don't think we'd have to get him in for quite a long term thing. But just, for a, maybe, you can do a week thing, can't you? So just bring him in for a week, or 2 or 3. That is what we did with Morosi last season. So he could have that Morosi position there. He'd give it his all. I'm not going to Morosi would as well, but yeah, Darrell Clarke has built a good side, to be fair to him. And with the signing of Vaulks, he's brought in Conlon as well, Tom Conlon. And he's got a bit of a presence in midfield behind Tom Ince, and those 3 are, for this level, very talented, I think. Vaulks, Conlon and Ince. You're not really going to get much better than that for this division. And that is a positive, because behind them you've got Faulkner, and in front you've got Jordan Davison. I mentioned the situation of the outgoings now. Charlie Whitaker. He wasn't in the game on Saturday at Port Vale. And Darrell Clarke came out at the end of the game and said, the reason for that is that he just had a bit of a sore leg after a bad tackle. And we don't really want to risk any long-term injuries, but I don't think, do you think it will be that? I'm not calling Darrell Clarke a liar, but I just think with Charlie Whitaker's quality, you'd have him on the bench, wouldn't you? At least, because we don't have many attackers at the moment, on the same sort of level. Like on the bench on Saturday, we had Sam Mann and Ollie Scott, left back, but he's good to go forward apparently, says the Aldershot fans who he was released from in the summer. So yeah, just Sam Mann. So there's got to be more than a dense sore leg, I think. Hopefully not, because he's a brilliant player, Charlie Whitaker, as we saw with that solo goal against Shrewsbury in the opening day. But that's life at this level, isn't it? I suppose having Tom Ince and Charlie Whitaker in the same attack would be too greedy. But yeah, and Clarke has said also that we'd need maybe 2 or 3 to go, and I was just looking through the list before, and we signed Lewis Warrington last season on a 2.5-year contract when we were struggling. I think Palios probably be kicking himself that he hasn't just done the 6-month contract there, because I don't mind Lewis Warrington's play. I think he's someone that will give us all, and he's good at going forward, and he's scored a couple of goals for us when he was at Tranmere last time around a few years back. And I remember doing a little piece on Warsaw, because he was at Warsaw for a time, and he had a shot from deep, miles out, to be honest, and that hit the crossbar. So there is a player in there, a good midfield player that can go forwards. And although last season he was his passes weren't working out, but I remember watching him and he was dropping deep down and getting on the ball, and even then he was trying to create stuff. So that's the sort of player that you're going to get in there, really. So I don't want to have a go with him, but I don't think he's going to be in the plans, to be honest. I mean, in fact, he wasn't on the bench on the weekend, so the hope will be to probably move him on. But with 2 years left on his contract, it might be a bit tough. Elsewhere in the team, you've got Plant, who I think, again, you know, a player who gives us all. Who gives us all, but maybe it's quality again. You know, he's only a young lad again. He's, how old's Plant? He is 21. You know, so he's a young lad that you could develop there. Especially as we brought him in. Oh, we've only brought him in on an 18-month deal, so we brought him into the end of the season. Well, you know, he's a good option, I think. He's a hard-working footballer. You know, and in this division, we might need to switch it up a few times, and you can also go wing-back, I think, so it wouldn't be a bad option. But I think if you're getting, you know, this might sound like I'm demeaning the fella here, but if you're getting a really stolder shot player in Ollie Scott on the bench and there's no plans, then he's probably the one that, you know, you'll be looking to move on any plans. And then the final player, even though he started both the games, because we have two left backs at the club in Slater, who I think will be looking to start a bit now. We come on Saturday for the final half an hour. One foul, 12 passes, completed 3 tackles. And we've got Scott there. Might be looking to move Bruff on, especially when we've got Jordan sitting with the club as well. So the 3 players that I think could leave Tranmere, and Bruff starters both the game, so he's bottom of the list, as well as Charlie Whitaker, Lewis Warrington, Plant, and then Bruff. And Ince, 2 keepers, Morosi and Jensen Jr., maybe, on a week-to-week thing. Maybe a centre-back, because I think we're a bit short there. Faulkner, Smith and Turnbull. Maybe we could do with another one. I'm McEverly as well, sorry. But I think he's, you know, he's might be 1 or 2 years away from me. A centre-back maybe, and then a striker, because Courtney Baker Richardson was on the bench. No, he wasn't on the bench on Saturday, it was Sam, so he's not even on the bench, so unless we think that man is the man for it, might need another striker at the club there, and then 2 wingers. I said recently that we have got pace. I was looking at Davis, Ince, Whitaker, Okoro as the 4 behind the side, and I thought that is a pretty solid 4 that. But watching Zane Okoro, Lincoln Loney, I think he's got a bit to go yet. You know, he's 19. He looks like a pacey threat, but his number is a bit off. And just looking at it there, he was at Coleraine last season, 4 goals and 30, so might need someone better than him. You might need someone better than him. But he's at the club and hopefully he smashes it this season. But yeah, just 2 more wingers, 2 more fast players, and maybe a third of Whitaker goes. It's a big week ahead. It started very well so far. My 3 top players so far, I'd go Faulkner, I'd go Jordan Davies and Vaulks. I think as my 3 top ones, but there's still a bit of work to do. A couple of good results on the board so far. 4 league points, but the aim will be going into the winter months to just keep it going. Newport away on Saturday, a team that in the last 9 games against them, there's been 33 goals. So you're probably expecting that to be wide open. And then in September, the double-header of Rotherham and Oldham at home. Which you'd be looking at that and thinking, 6 points. Hopefully, the only way is up, because after the last 5 years that the club has had, not even, like, he had the relative success of the club in getting us to the Papa John's Trophy final against Sunderland at Wembley Stadium that no one could go to because of COVID, and then Dawes, Adkins, Mound's return, that didn't go to plan. Darrell Clarke seems to be the man. But it's a big 9 days ahead in his first transfer window as the Sammy manager. He's done well so far. Hopefully the only way's up.